Welcome back to another episode of the Nerdcast podcast, not your regular dialogue. I go by the name of Toner, and for our 5th episode, I sit down with one of my podcasting partners, Jay, and Jay and I talk comic book movies, and TV shows, and touch on comic books, and, all that geek and nerd stuff that two grown men should be talking about on a Sunday night. We briefly talk about the Suicide Squad movie and how apparently Jared Leto is going full-blown method acting on his portrayal as the Joker. Rumor has it it's going to be legendary, so, you only have to wait another year before we can see that on the screen. We then talk about Daredevil, the Marvel series that's on Netflix. We touch on the Spider-Man films, Arrow and Flash, pretty much anything Marvel and DC related. We just go ahead and encompass it all. So sit back, relax, and listen to two grown men ramble about fictitious people wearing tights. Enjoy.
On top of the world, on top of it all, trying to feel invincible. Yeah. On top of the world.
So, okay. I've been reading some stuff on Suicide Squad here lately. Mostly, I'm reading reports or insider stuff from people on set or actors close to it, talking about how Jared Leto is going. He's all in on his take as the Joker. We were talking about it earlier. He apparently sent, I guess, a love letter to Margot Robbie. Not exactly sure how to pronounce her last name. Sent her a love letter and then a gift. It was a box that had a live rat in it. So that was
which has since been named Karate. They put pictures on Instagram.
Oh, okay. I have not seen that yet.
Yeah, apparently he also sent the full cast, like some dead animal, I think. I saw reports of it last week, along with the rat thing. It's just, he's definitely buying into the role.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to disappoint. Even if Suicide Squad happened to totally suck, I don't think his take as the Joker, I think it'll be on point.
I was definitely worried when I first saw him. Just the appearance of him kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, I've never seen Joker all padded up or anything like that. But then again, it's something different. I mean, honestly, in any incarnation I've ever seen him, you never see him shirtless, I don't think. I mean, unless there's something in the comics I've maybe, but so who knows? But I'm trying to think, was it, I think I heard Mark Bernardin said something about it on the Fat Man on Batman podcast. He goes, there's just no way Joker sits still that long in a chair with those tattoos.
Yeah.
So, he's like, if it was going to say ha ha ha, all over his arm and all that, like he may have carved it in himself with like a knife or something. But so I'm like, it makes sense.
Yeah, but then it goes on to like the facial tattoos and it just doesn't look right.
So yeah, I guess we'll.
Everyone was worried about Heath Ledger's Joker too, and we saw how that turned out, so can't complain too much.
Yeah. What did he win? Was it an Oscar for a posthumous?
I think it was.
Yeah, for his portrayal of that. Which The Dark Knight, when it came out, it was kind of like a perfect storm.
Yeah.
Kind of like with Paul Walker and Furious 7. It was that movie. God, it's at it's over $1.5 billion. Is what it's sold. The tickets sold worldwide. So I mean, it's only the third movie ever to make $1 billion overseas. So with him, unfortunately, the movie it's bucked the Hollywood trend of when sequels come out. Generally, there's always some type of decline in sales. Like if every sequel, it usually makes a few million less than the previous installment. But these movies keep making more, like bigger opening weekends, and it grosses more domestically and even more overseas. So this movie's made more than, I think that's the first three combined, worldwide and domestically. But with Paul dying midway through filming, and then his two brothers came in as body doubles, and
they did the CGI on him. Again, it's just the perfect storm. But we have to see his final portrayal or final like starring role in a movie.
I've never seen any of them.
Yeah, I haven't seen Furious 7 either. I was wanting to see it, but I'm like, I'll wait. But with Heath Ledger, of course, he completed The Dark Knight obviously before he died. But did you ever watch that, The Imaginarium with Dr. Parnassus?
Yeah.
Terry Gilliam, man, I'll give it to him. It
was an interesting movie.
Yeah. I gave it a shot. It was something different. I like different, but man, I wasn't comfortable eating shrooms to watch that movie.
All of his movies are like that, though.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
So I think DC's definitely taken a jump, making this one of their first movies after Batman v Superman. But I think Marvel did it right, introducing those characters first, and then bringing in Guardians of the Galaxy when people are more willing to say, hey, it's a Marvel movie, let's go see it.
Right.
DC doesn't have that luxury. People still bring up Batman and Robin.
Yeah, you know how I feel about that movie. We talked about that in our second episode. I want to forget it, but I just can't. It's definitely a train wreck. Can't help. You have to look at it. But yeah, when you're going to introduce, well, I mean, you got Ant-Man coming out in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy. I remember when I first heard about it, I was like,
I told you so.
Yeah, it was a little like talking raccoon and a tree. I'm like, okay, whatever. Well, we'll give it a shot, and so what that did. That's made more money than both Captain Americas, both Thors. I think it's the fourth highest movie Marvel's put out. Because both Avengers movies have made more than anything. Iron Man 3,
yeah,
that's high. That made 400-something million. And Guardians of the Galaxy topped out around 330-something million. So this is all domestic total. So even worldwide, it made close to $750 million. So Marvel can't lose. I was watching. My wife was watching that Saturday Night Live with Chris Pratt was hosting. Mm-hmm. They did that short, the SNL short of him, the spoof of Marvel, like Marvel Can't Lose, where they had we picked 5 random people from a bus and cast them in this movie. It's like you'll love Marvel's bus people, and we put a talking raccoon in a guy who's going to play with ants here in a couple weeks. So it's but hell, they're going to make $500 million again. It doesn't matter.
It's only going to get stranger.
You got Doctor Strange coming too.
Well,
segue. But
and then they have Black Panther and Inhumans, and they're really expanding over the next phase of their movies.
Yeah, they have isn't all the way through 2019 or 2020.
I think 2020, yeah. So they're not slowing down, but I don't think they're going to announce anything new until they get close to the end of Phase 3.
Right. Yeah. They've got it together though. They've set the blueprint for if you want to build a universe flawlessly. I think they've got it. Every movie they put out, I can't think of.
The ones they've done, they really haven't had a really bad one. I mean, closest would be Incredible Hulk.
Right, yeah.
But that didn't do well at the box office, but it wasn't a bad movie.
No, I like that one a lot.
I know there's questions about Ant-Man coming out, but all the early screenings have been positive.
Yep, I heard that. I heard people talked about definitely stated that their famed mid-credit scene or end-credit scene.
There's 2, mid-credit and end-credit, and both of them are supposed to have big impacts on the futures of the movies.
I've heard there's, I guess, a spoiler about, I guess Ant-Man's going to be the first one to mention Spider-Man in some capacity, is what I've heard.
Yeah.
Which, I'm glad Marvel got him that.
And they said Anthony Mackie might be showing up in Ant-Man. So, someone asked him about it in a press screening, and he said he couldn't comment on it. So maybe Falcon's going to be recruiting Ant-Man for the new Avengers.
I'm all in on that too.
Yeah. And Kevin Feige announced today that Spider-Man's next movie will have a brand new villain, not anyone we've seen in the movie before. I was worried we were going to get another Norman Osborn take.
Yeah, or Harry Osborn, yeah.
Well, Norman's responsible for everything bad that ever happens to Spider-Man, so
right.
He's definitely been played up.
Yeah, the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I thought it had potential. But I swear to God, I tell people, watch the trailer for The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and then watch the movie. I swear they're not the same.
Yeah.
Or it seemed like they were going real deep. Like I remember hearing a quote from Norman Osborn in the trailer. Remember, he said, "You think what happened to you was an accident, Peter? That never happened in the movie at all."
Yeah.
He died
Yeah.
pretty early on. It seemed like Peter was going like full on, like Columbo, like private eye type stuff. Like he's doing all this digging, finding all these different facts, and it just never. And so I'm waiting to see this in the movie, and I'm like, it's not happening. I don't know. And they made a lot of cuts or changes, I guess, at the end. Like, hey, we'll cut this trailer first, and then we'll maybe re-edit everything.
Maybe eventually we'll get that director's cut that had everything.
Yeah.
If that's what they did.
Right.
But right here it's listed Dr. Octopus, Sandman, Venom, Lizard, Electro, Rhino, and 3 different versions of Green Goblin have all been used in the movies already. So all those guys are out.
One thing I will say, briefly, the first 2 Spider-Man movies that Sam Raimi did, I love the hell out of those movies. I thought the first one, I mean, not to go on a tangent about the organic web shooters, it's, I remember when I first saw that,
I just shook my head and said no.
Yeah, I wasn't well versed with the comics when I was younger, but I remember watching the Spider-Man cartoons back in the day, and I remember he had the web shooters and stuff, the ones he made. And so when I saw this come out of Tobey Maguire's wrist, I'm like, I remember that being different. So, but I'm like, okay, it didn't like turn me off. Like, okay, this is the worst incarnation of Spider-Man ever.
Let's see, that was one of the fun things in the comic is when he'd run out of fluid, I mean, he'd kind of be stuck and have to find some other way to beat the bad guy.
Right.
So that instantly was gone when all of a sudden they're organic and he's shooting them.
Yeah, that was kind of weird, but I was like, all right, whatever. But Willem Dafoe, that dude, he can act his ass off. I'm a big fan of his. I thought he did all right. Because you can't have him like be some kind of like big mutated looking, I guess, monster. I mean, him wearing a suit was, I guess, more believable or, quote unquote, based in like reality. Like, okay, I can see a guy wearing a suit doing that. Then of course Doc Ock in the second movie. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, those both were great movies, and that second one was probably one of the best comic book movies that was made.
Yeah, I was a big fan of that. And of course, everybody has voiced their opinion on Spider-Man 3, and they're all, I would say correct. It still made quite a bit of money, so you can't call it, I guess, a failure in that regard. They definitely made their money back, and then, but I guess they knew, all right, this is a trilogy. We're probably not going to get anybody back. Just cram a whole bunch of stuff in here and try to make it work.
Sam Raimi was on record saying he wanted the Vulture to be the bad guy. And it's kind of a lame character. But the studio wanted Venom because they knew it was the final movie. They wanted Venom in there because that's going to be their big money maker.
Right.
And it was just kind of forced in, and Sam Raimi said, okay. And it's like he didn't even try after that.
Right, yeah. I wish, of course, if you're filming, I guess, like 2 movies at the same time, I guess you have to have a bigger budget, obviously. You got to pay the actors for what essentially is a second movie. But I like Venom being in the movie, but if they would have planned in advance, of like, all right, look, we want Sandman, or, even if they try to get Vulture in there, maybe Sandman and have him try to, you bring Harry into the mix as, the Hobgoblin in the comics, but they call him New Goblin in the credits, which is stupid, but they don't pay me to make those decisions. But if they could have had him fight Hobgoblin and Sandman, then you bring in Eddie Brock. I had no problem with them introducing, Topher Grace. Looks nothing like Eddie Brock.
Bad casting.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. But you bring him in, I had no problem introducing him early on. And then, and the way they introduced the symbiote, oh my god. Oh. Like a meteorite falling from space, which, okay, but there's other ways to, oh god.
Well, in the comic, it's established that that costume is an alien, and
Right.
it was incorporated in the '80s Civil War Secret Wars comic, which made it difficult for them to try to introduce it in the movies.
But I thought, wasn't there, was it the Ultimates or something, or Ultimate Spider-Man, something where he was created in the lab?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they could have done it that way. I think that's how it is in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon also.
Right. Which, okay, that could have worked. Or if you're going to have it, or you had the meteorite, like, I don't know, crash at the beginning of Spider-Man 3, then gets taken to a lab, I don't know, something, but just having it jump on his ridiculous scooter, license plate, and, like, follow him home, I'm like, okay.
I've forgotten about that.
Yeah,
They mentioned it.
I'm like, okay, guys, I'm not a studio head, but there's got to be a little more elaborate way of doing that. Or you just go straight to the, like, you go to a lab scene, and then there's a symbiote, like, in a vial or something, and then you can mention it being taken from a meteorite, like, somewhere. That didn't just happen to land in the park where Peter and Mary Jane were just hanging out. And then, like, introduce Venom at the end. I like Spider-Man or Peter wearing the suit, fighting, Sandman. That made sense. But then you have him, like, ditch that suit at the very end when you realize it's corrupting him.
After that god-awful scene of him walking down the street,
Oh.
all strutting. Oh.
Like, that's before I realized I didn't know what a hipster douche was. I just learned about that within the last couple of years. Then I'm like, then you watch that scene, I'm like, that's okay.
So do you think they watch that and be like, that's how I'm going to start acting and dressing?
It was bad. I mean, when I was in the theater watching it, I mean, okay, yeah, I laughed because it was kind of, I mean, it was like stupid funny.
But I was about to walk out.
Yeah, but
it
I was
was
like,
bad.
but I'm like, yeah, I don't think, I didn't see that incarnate. I didn't see that in the comics or. How do you come up with that in the writers' room? Or does Toby like, hey, I'm just gonna like do my Saturday Night Fever impression on the sidewalk? He was like doing that dancing disco and stuff. I'm like, what the hell is this?
All improv.
I love improvisation with like when it works. That did not work. But back to my tangent, I guess they should have made. All right, look, let's do 4 movies. We'll film 3 and 4. Like concurrently. Boom, boom, boom. We introduce Venom at the very end. Like I loved how Eddie Brock became Venom. I remember that in the comics, and I remember seeing that cartoon where he's in a church, the bell ringing, the vibration made him like the symbiote leaving.
Yeah.
But I think that's how you end that 3rd movie. With him, as soon as the symbiote takes over, he kind of like shows his teeth and like lunges at the camera or growls or screams.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you end. And then the 4th movie, because Venom's a big enough villain, I think well enough known to the true comic fans anyway. I don't know how mainstream, but he's a strong enough villain or adversary Spider-Man can fight on his own. I mean, you can bring in another one to make it more interesting, or a bigger plot. I don't know, but to have all those villains, just so much stuff crammed into one movie.
Yeah, they just forced it all in there. Yeah, I mean, Venom could definitely hold his own movie as the sole bad guy.
Right.
I mean, if they could get away with using Sandman as much as they did, or some of the secondary guys that they've used in other movies, Venom could definitely carry it. I mean, even in the comic books, they got to a point where they wanted him to be a superhero since he was a popular character, so he's bounced between being good and bad for years. So if you can carry your own comic book, you probably pretty easily carry your own,
Right.
The villain end of a movie.
Right. And plus, if you just introduce him as the main one, the main villain, it's kind of like Marvel at this point, where the Spider-Man name at that time was huge. I mean, it was holding records for like biggest opening weekend and setting all kinds of records in that regard. But we're making another Spider-Man, and here's your villain. I mean, people are going to show up to watch that. But it's the same old complaint. This is not new information. They just threw as much crap as they could because 3rd and final movie. I wish it would have went out on a better note than that.
So with this new Spider-Man movie, they're not going to be like we do the origin. They're going to assume everyone already knows, which is probably the good way to go.
Right.
Hopefully Marvel sticks with that formula too. Once they have to recast a lot of these actors, like when we get a new Iron Man that's not Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
Just keep going with it. I mean, I see these characters as like a James Bond,
Yes.
where they keep the name, but a different actor takes over. Maybe a younger actor, and all the stories are just in the same canon. Maybe
Right.
not in the right order, but I mean, there have been so many different comic book versions of these guys. They can get away with using different actors too. Every artist draws every Iron Man armor different.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Who's
I mean,
this new kid they got? I think I have this pulled up. I forgot this. That Asa Butterfield kid from Ender's Game. I have nothing against the guy. I think he's 18 years old. What people have said.
he looks 12 though.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I didn't care if he was 35. If you look 12, it's just not. I understand Spider-Man got his powers and everything is in high school, so he's still a kid, and I can go with that. But if you're in high school, like Andrew Garfield, I think was almost 30, but he had like the baby face and everything where he could pull off like a senior in high school. But if you're already senior in high school age and you look 12, I don't know.
See, I don't know how he would have done in the role anyway. Just the only thing I've seen him in is Ender's Game, and Ender was a completely different character than Peter Parker.
Right.
I mean, he was very focused, focused on the military and trying to wipe out the bugs that they were fighting.
Right.
It's a he was a very dry character too. So I mean, there's no humor from him.
Right.
So it's hard to see how he would have done as Peter Parker.
Right.
The new kid's name is Tom Holland.
Okay.
And I haven't seen anything he's done either. So
I know they were saying he screen tested with Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. And apparently he was
he was the only one to go with Chris Evans
Okay.
and read with them, but a few of the guys read with Robert Downey Jr.
okay. All right.
But I mean, to me, when you're reading with those two, you're gonna show up in Civil War.
Right. Yeah.
There's no reason to have him read with those two and then be like, well, maybe in the Avengers Infinity War we'll have you show up.
Right.
I mean, he's gonna be in there.
And I guess what I do like about this, if you're going to introduce him in Civil War, no matter how brief or if he has a bigger role, I like that they're already going with the fact of that his origin story. They're not unless they do like that. I don't know why they would do any flashbacks or anything. Just there's this kid, or I don't know if you call him enhanced, like they did with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
I think they're just gonna stick with the spider bite thing, and
Right.
everyone knows his origin story, and they're just gonna go with it.
And I thought redoing his origin, so like it was only 5 years after. Was it 5 years after Spider-Man 3? They did
Something like that.
Yeah, they did. They brought Andrew Garfield in, and it was. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it was overkill because I did like that movie. I liked that we finally got the Lizard. Because hell, they had Kurt Connors and.
They've been dropping him in all 3 movies.
Right. So to finally get him, I was okay. That's cool. So that wasn't bad. Then the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Everything looked cool with Electro,
Mm-hmm.
and like just in the trailers, but they kind of Michael Bayed, which means when you watch anything Michael Bay ever filmed, especially the Transformers movies, those trailers are all, oh my god, they're fantastic. I love the hell out of the trailers, love them. Then you get to the theater and it's somewhat of a different product.
I don't even want to touch on Transformers.
But yeah, we'll say that for another time. But when you watch the trailer for The Amazing Spider-Man 2, you're like, holy crap. I mean, he's fighting Hobgoblin, fighting the Rhino briefly. With,
Which I didn't understand him being in there, other than the fact that they could use him for Sinister Six later on.
I know they were in the process of, they were supposed to make Sinister Six, and then Venom was supposed to get his own movie or spin-off in some way, shape, or form.
I think those are probably dead at this point, since Marvel is now co-producing the movies.
Right. Which hopefully with them doing it, I still want to see Venom at some point, but done right, not just like shoehorned in the movie. To make wasn't it Avi Arad?
Yeah.
That's the guy. Yeah, I think he was the one who's really pushing for Venom. That's the last rumor I've heard over the years.
I'd like somebody else in Topher Grace too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Eddie Brock's kind of he's a jock and kind of a musclehead, I guess, in a way. And then you get a guy who's essentially almost like Peter Parker, kind of like this scrawny kid. I guess we'll pre-spider bite, but
Bad casting.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think it'll happen now that Marvel's got that creative control. I mean, I'm sure that I don't know what input Sony has. I'm sure they got to have some kind of maybe approval of final edit or something. I know they're distributing it and they're going to make all that money for the worldwide machines, I guess. But
Here could be an interesting idea for the villain.
okay,
Kingpin. He started out as a Spider-Man villain. Spider-Man does run into him every once in a while.
right?
They've established him in Daredevil.
Yeah.
That it could make for an interesting movie.
It was straight up rumor. When we first heard that Marvel got Spider-Man back, they thought about maybe introducing him in Daredevil at some point, maybe in season 2. And which I'm all in. We got Frank Castle. Why not Spider-Man? Or why not introduce an actual superhero, not an anti-hero like.
I think the problem there, though, is the special effects for swinging around
Yeah.
Hell's Kitchen on the web.
Yeah.
The show doesn't have much to spend on that, so...
If they keep it all, I guess, street level type stuff, maybe. But
Right, and with all the characters they've announced so far, they're all pretty much no special effect powers.
Right.
I mean, the closest you might come will be Iron Fist and making his hands glow.
Right. Which I wonder if that's going to be some type of, make it a real world application of some kind. Like with Batman and his toys and everything. It's kind of, it's kind of extraordinary and fantastical, but there's like a scientific application to it or something, or military type, I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Marvel's been pretty good with sticking towards the original story, so I would imagine it's going to tie in with Stick, and it's going to be some kind of mythical, religion-based power that he has, like it is in the comic. So I think Stick is going to be one of the main tying points that brings at least Iron Fist to Daredevil, and probably going to be the cause of the Defenders being started.
Nice, yeah. You know way more about that than I do.
Right.
But I know the Hand is supposed to be something big. I guess who's that guy? You've watched all Daredevil now, haven't you?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So that Stick episode, you don't see the guy's face, but he's like in I don't know where he is. I don't know if it's a dojo or something. There's a guy, shirtless, sitting down, almost like Indian style, and his back's to the camera the whole time. And then Stick shows up to, I guess, give him an update on Matt Murdock. I guess they've been keeping an eye on him at some point, or they're aware of what he's been doing. I remember them asking something about Murdoch's, like if he's going to be ready.
Yeah, and
About the war, or was there? I guess there's always a war coming, they say, or something along those lines. So I'm wondering.
yeah, and see, I think that's going to be what the Defender ties into. I'm trying to pull it up, who he was talking to.
I assumed it was something to do with the Hand, or.
But that Scott Glenn casting was spot on for that role. I loved him as Stick.
Yeah, me personally, I don't know anything about that character, but I know he's up there in age too.
Yeah.
He seemed to be doing just fine.
Oh, he was excited about the role. They said that was probably his favorite role he's done. So yeah, I'm not sure who he was talking to at the end. It doesn't say on IMDb either who that character was supposed to be, unless I'm just completely missing it.
Right.
I am excited about season 2 of that though. First season was amazing.
Yeah, that was really good. I went through all 13 episodes within 4 days. So I went through all episodes in like 4 days. So I need to rewatch it, because I'm sure I'm going to catch things that I missed the first time around. But it was just so good. I'm knocking out like 3 episodes a night almost.
I went through it pretty quickly too, and I'm actually on my second viewing of it, going slow, taking my time. I think I'm on like the 4th or 5th episode, and I've picked up small things, nothing major that would impact my view on the whole show.
Right. Everybody still talks about that second episode, the hallway fighting scene.
That was amazing.
Yeah. That was good. Really good.
I think I went back and watched that a second time. I watched it for the second time.
Yeah, can't go wrong with it.
But season 2, Punisher. There was
Oh,
rumors
yeah.
of Elektra and Bullseye too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason Statham loves comic book movies. Wow.
Yeah. So thoughts on John Bernthal?
You know, I remember you, I think you typed an article, or you mentioned him briefly on the site, talking about, not that you didn't like the casting, but when Thomas Jane did his, it was a couple years ago for Comic-Con.
Dirty Laundry?
Yeah. I think it came out a couple years ago, or he did that for the fans, I think it wasn't it Comic-Con?
Yeah, he showed up at Comic-Con with it.
And I think everybody was kind of partial, or I know deep down, I'm like, all right, if you're bringing in Frank Castle, a.k.a. the Punisher, into season 2 of the Daredevil, not whatever, that would have been cool. But of course, I always understand, let's get somebody who hasn't done it before, and I think he's got the look, and he's a good actor. I think he'll do well. It's just I hated him so much as Shane on The Walking Dead. That's not how I always pictured him. I know he had a role in Fury with Brad Pitt.
And he was in Wolves of Wall Street.
Yeah, I gotta see that.
You haven't seen that
No,
yet?
no.
Oh.
Well, just for the record, I set a record for number of F-bombs in a movie. Over 500 times.
Yeah.
And I know the movie's almost 3 hours. That's just...
And you haven't seen it.
That's fantastic. Yeah, he's in that, and he was in, oh God, that movie with The Rock. I guess it was based on a true story, where he took down a drug cartel. Or he was trying to help, his kid got arrested for, he was holding drugs or something. What's the name of that movie?
Look it up. I know what you're talking about, though.
But I mean, the guy, John Bernthal, I mean, I like him. I think he'll do just fine.
I was skeptical at first, but I mean, sitting here thinking about it, they've done little wrong in casting.
Right.
That show was, I liked everybody in the show that they casted. So I'll get over any problems after I watch it and see him. It's not going to be an issue. I mean, the only thing I really remember him on is Walking Dead, and I just didn't like the character, so
Right, yeah.
that probably impacted it more than anything.
Right.
But sitting here, is it Snitch?
Yes, there we go. Okay.
There you go.
I mean, his role wasn't like huge in Snitch, but he was good in that.
Ooh.
It's not a bad movie overall. I liked it. Something different. I mean, now The Rock is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I think he's really made a name for himself co-starring in the Fast and Furious movies, but I know San Andreas is doing well. And
I liked a lot of stuff he's done. Pain and Gain was hilarious. Him and Mark Wahlberg.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's on Netflix. It's worth watching. I mean, he's a complete idiot in the movie, but it was good.
And Michael Bay directs that one, which is kind of, I'm like, that's kind of outside your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But
And let's see, Race to Witch Mountain was a kid's movie, but he did alright in that. The Game Plan was another kid's movie, but he did pretty good in that.
that Journey to the Mysterious Island, I guess like another kid's movie. I remember when that came out, and it was like #1 at the box office, I think, the weekend it came out, and like, what the heck?
Well, Walking Tall and The Rundown. Those were two of his first movies.
I did see the Rundown. It wasn't bad. That had Stifler in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a fun movie.
Yeah.
A fun action movie.
Yeah.
Pretty brainless, but it was entertaining.
He's definitely making his money now.
I won't talk about Doom.
Oh my God.
Everyone does one of those roles though at some point.
There's some movies, especially ones based off a video game, you just gotta leave them alone, man.
I forgot he was Roadblock too. Ugh. The
Oh,
G.I.
yeah.
Joe movies were the worst.
Oh man.
I mentioned it on one of the articles on the site, but did you see Channing Tatum said that was one of the worst movies he's ever done?
Yeah.
And he knew it going in.
No. Now I cannot act. Well, to my knowledge, I cannot act. I haven't been put on screen or anything. But when you watch the first G.I. Joe movie, and I think I remember the quote from that article he typed up. He said if it was just a movie without the G.I. Joe name, that just thought up on its own, I guess, an original work maybe. He's like, okay, all right, yeah, maybe.
I said that.
Yeah,
That's my thought on the movie.
okay, yeah.
If it would have been any just random action army movie, I wouldn't have had a problem with it.
Right.
But when you start tying like these established characters and their names into it, it just brought it down for me.
Yeah.
I'm not the person that's a stickler on everything has to be completely canon from the comic books or from the source material.
Right.
That was just awful.
Yeah, it was terrible. And his acting, it was just so bad in that movie. Now I will give him props. Some of the other stuff I've seen him in, like my wife had that on. God, she put it on. I don't know what it was. She put it on, or she had pulled it up on YouTube, one of his dancing scenes or whatever like that. And I remember like, the first time you ever saw him was in that Step Up, the dancing movie or whatever.
Never saw it.
I didn't either. But I remember they were all I forgot how I saw it or whatever. But you can dance. You go, man. But like comedy seems to be like the 20. I haven't seen 21 Jump Street. I saw 22 Jump Street. That movie's pretty funny.
Yeah, 21 Jump Street was pretty funny.
And the White House Down was stupid.
Never saw
Oh God, that was dumb. But his act, from what I've seen him in, it's been better. I guess it just depends if he kind of stays in his wheelhouse. Just the G.I. Joe, it was terrible, bad.
Apparently, he was in Jupiter Ascending too, and I've heard nothing good about that.
Man had the Wachowski. I'm probably butchering the last name. Wachowski.
Wachowski
Yeah.
siblings.
Yeah,
They're no longer brothers.
Yeah, I guess the brother-sister trio now. After The Matrix, that was, they did Speed Racer.
Bombs.
Which I didn't see it. It just, I can't judge a movie solely off the trailer, but as soon as I saw it, I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm not going to spend money in any capacity to watch that one. Was it Cloud Atlas?
Yeah, they wrote the screenplay for V for Vendetta.
Okay.
They did Speed Racer. They wrote Cloud Atlas.
They didn't direct that one, they just wrote it?
No, they did direct that.
Okay, alright.
I don't remember seeing. I think we rented that and I fell asleep. They disappeared for a while. They have Sense8 on Netflix with J. Michael Straczynski.
Okay.
And then Jupiter Ascending.
Which that didn't make a lot of money either.
And was apparently horrible. I don't think I've heard of anybody that's made it through it since it's been out on DVD.
Alright, and I can't judge a movie's success solely off, box office numbers, because there's been plenty of movies that have made a ton and are crap, and then ones that didn't make a lot and are really, I think pretty good. But, man, that Cloud Atlas, I've seen bits and pieces of. And I've heard it was kind of one of those, I have no idea. I've heard, I don't know if it's got a cult following or it's just, I don't know. People who have watched it, I've heard kind of give it props for just being something, I don't know, something totally different. But the Jupiter Ascending, that didn't even look really appealing to me either.
I thought the initial previews of it looked pretty good. A different sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
Something that I haven't seen. The effects look cool.
Right.
But man, after that, everything just kind of fell off on it.
And even the Matrix itself, getting back to that.
It was the first movie, and then
Yeah,
two sequels that kind of fell off.
Yeah, but the first one I think is great. I would consider that like a sci-fi classic.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, it wasn't bad. I didn't dislike it, but like the third one, I know they had that's the lady who played the Oracle.
Yeah, she died.
She had died, and then apparently, singer and actress Aaliyah. She was
supposed to have been in it.
Yeah,
and then
she was. I think she had filmed her part, but for whatever, or wasn't able to finish it. I think they had reshot her scene with another actress. He was the operator of the Nebuchadnezzar. Link was his name. Yeah, so I guess she was supposed to play Link's girlfriend, I guess, in the movie. And then it was recast. I don't know that actress' name. So I knew there was kind of some delays or some kind of. They kind of had to rewrite a little bit, which that's never really good, especially if you're deep into the process. But yeah, the third one kind of. I'm honestly surprised that hasn't been rebooted yet in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and With the whole story being supposedly a big circle where it happens over and over, they could very easily make a different one with a different Neo.
Yeah. It's I don't know, that seemed like it could go on forever.
Yeah.
Which I've always kind of wondered. I'm like, when you see the end, is he really dead, or what's going on with it?
I don't even remember the ending of it.
Yeah. I know the machine's kind of. It seems like Keanu Reeves or Neo is dead in the real world.
Yeah,
And,
I vaguely remember it now.
The machines are kind of taking him, like dragging him away.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you want closure to a trilogy, like he gives his life, so there's now peace between the humans and the machines.
Until they reboot it and it turns into Terminator, where everything's supposed to stop it, but yet it keeps going.
There's something, or I don't think humans keep in peace for too long, or
someone creates a new AI that takes it a step further.
Yeah, right.
Along those lines, we watched Chappie last night.
How was that?
I was nervous going in. I had heard not very good things, but I really enjoyed it. I mean, the director of that did District 9 and Elysium.
Yeah.
And they're all different sci-fi movies, which I like. The actual Chappie character, I loved him. And you get to see him grow throughout the whole movie. That's the point of him. The previews were very much different than how the actual movie was. Because the people that are like raising him are actually like low-level gangsters.
Huh.
And so they're trying to train him how to do a robbery with him.
Huh.
And it's, I mean, when they first get him, he's like an infant and gradually grows throughout the movie.
It's funny. Being a dog lover. I own 3 dogs. And just seeing, especially being a kid, I remember when the movie Short Circuit came out, with Johnny Five. Yeah. And even though I felt like CGI, not a fake character, but when like the robots are getting messed with by like douchebag humans, or getting injured or like assaulted in some way, shape, or form, I'm like, it's almost like when you see like an animal get hurt in movies. So I don't care how many people you kill, but leave the animals and the artificial intelligence alone.
The Sarah McLachlan music comes on all of a sudden.
Yeah. Because it's like he's like the kid growing up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like dealing with I guess some bullying or something. Like I saw him get hit with somebody threw a bottle at him, or I don't know if it was like a Molotov cocktail or something in the trailers or something. I'm like, freaking humanity. I would not fear. I don't know. I just don't. Now, granted, if it was Skynet, yeah, I would fear the hell out of it. But I wouldn't. I don't know if I would fear AI like that.
Well, see, what it is the robots are all police force.
Okay.
And so they're in South Africa, and the crime rate is down because of these robots.
All right.
And the one that becomes Chappie is damaged. The creator of it finds a way to perfect his AI and wants to put it into the program.
Okay.
And the manager of the robotic company doesn't want to do it. So he steals this robot that's going to be decommissioned, puts the program in there, but he gets kidnapped with the robot. And so Chappie gets taken by these criminals. And so when people see the robot walking around, they assume it's police, and they turn on it.
Okay.
See, they don't explain any of that. They just make it seem like there's a strange robot hanging out with us,
Right.
and people see him and fear him, but it's actually because the robots are actually police.
Okay. I guess that makes. Well, yeah. I had to see the movie.
Yeah.
They have to edit it a certain way to make it interesting, or try to encapsulate a whole bunch of different things. And
I just hate it when they make it into a totally different movie.
Yeah. Oh, a movie guilty of that, not to go off on a tangent, is the 3 Days to Kill with Kevin Costner.
Never saw it.
Oh my! That's all. I won't go into any more detail. I'm just saying. Well, don't spend money on it. It wasn't terrible, but it was just kind of like I watched it, and at the end I'm like, I don't even know what happened.
There's better things to watch instead of
right. But like, if it's on HBO or cable in the future, before you watch it, pause the movie watch the trailer. I kid you not, watch it and then watch this movie. You're like, there's no way this is the same movie at all. Other than the actors, it's not even close.
I might track down the DVD to watch just to see if it has the preview on there first, and then watch the movie.
I'm like, what happened? They make it seem like he's going after this guy, like this terrorist called the Wolf. And I think that dude was maybe in the movie 5 minutes, if that. It was just not. It hurts my brain just to think about how do you make a trailer and your finished product is not even remotely even close.
Well, it could be one of those issues where the director has his vision,
Right.
and then the studio actually puts together the trailer. And
yeah, I was kind of the trailer, as what it's supposed to do, kind of supposed to, I guess, entice you or draw you in. Like, okay, this movie might be good, might be worth my time. I don't know if I rented it in Redbox or just being lazy, spent like the $6 to DirecTV cinema and did it that way.
the only thing worse though than that is when a comedy movie puts all the best parts in the preview, and then you go and see it, and you're like, well, that was just a dumb movie. I'm scared the new Vacation is going to be that way.
I was just about to say, my father-in-law, a couple weeks back, played the Red Band trailer for me, which was hilarious. But he even said, he's like, you know what's sad is that all the best parts of this movie were probably just in this trailer we watched.
For our last road trip, I put Holiday Road as the first song on our CD in the car.
Nice. I will say, it did crack me up to see Chris Hemsworth in that trailer.
Yes.
Because I've only ever seen him in, as Thor.
Yeah.
Briefly in the very first Star Trek reboot that came out. Is that 2009, I think?
Something
When he played
around
Captain Kirk's dad briefly. I did watch Black Hat a couple weeks ago. The movie about the hacker, or whatever. It was a Michael Mann movie.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I don't know. It wasn't. I mean, it made like nothing at the box office. I guess the reviews were very kind of like average. And it's not. I got it through Redbox. Well, for free, but I still. I was like, let's give it a shot. Because it looked appealing and everything, and it wasn't bad. It was probably 20 minutes too long or so. It's just, I don't know. Not the greatest. It wasn't terrible. Not bad. Not great. It was like, okay.
Just the movie.
But to see him in, I do like comedy, which is kind of. I mean, yeah, I know he was on SNL briefly, but I don't know how big of a role he has in the Vacation movie, but that cracked me up. His little cameo, or his appearance in the trailer.
I am glad we have another Russ in each one of those movies now.
Oh yeah.
I still go back to Vegas Vacation. The one line always cracks me up. Chevy Chase. Kids, I don't even recognize you anymore.
It's been so long since I've seen all these movies. I mean, obviously every Christmas Vacation, you gotta watch it. It's like, it's tradition. Kind of like Charlie Brown Christmas and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, all those classics. It's like, you gotta watch that.
Mm-hmm.
But the original Vacation and the Vegas Vacation, it's been so long, I remember next to nothing about it. I gotta watch those.
It's been a while since I watched them, but I remember just about everything from them because I've seen them so many times.
I think I've watched the Christmas one the most. The other one, it was a long time ago.
Well, the original Vacation is probably my favorite out of that series. So.
Is that the one where they came through East St. Louis?
Yeah. Roll them up.
Oh man, that was great. When he asked for directions or something like that, it's like, F your mama. Thank you very much.
Then he pulls up to Samuel L. Jackson. How do we get back to the highway? I'll tell you for $20. And he's like, I don't even know. I'm from the east side of Chicago. Or south side of Chicago.
Nice. That movie's to watch again. Especially now that I'm an adult and I'll catch all the innuendo and all the other humor. I'm like, what movie was it? It may have even been Back to the Future. When I watched it, as an adult, I'm like, oh, okay. Or just, there's other humor that I got that as a kid, I'm like, all I wanted to see was Travel Back in Time.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, I was thinking about a movie like that recently too, and I don't remember what it is now.
So, even the old school, like some of the 80s action movies and stuff. Like all the Die Hards.
Yeah.
Even Terminator and all the old ones like that. Still Rambo.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of catch now. As a kid, I'm like, I wouldn't have didn't know what any of that meant, or
It just sounded funny.
yeah, right, exactly. Now I'm like, oh, now I know what that means. But, did we even talk about Suicide Squad, or did we just?
Yeah, we got it for a few minutes.
Right, yeah. It's
A little bit at the beginning.
yeah. I remember it all started with them gambling on introducing all these guys that geekdom will know, and those who follow DC and everything.
But I don't follow DC a ton, but I do know some of the characters, so I'm excited to see it for that reason. I'm a big Harley Quinn fan.
Right, yeah, I'm glad she's going to get a turn on the big screen. We got her, there was a brief tease, you don't see her face, but you get to hear her voice in last season of it. Yeah, the Arrow just wrapped up its third season.
Yeah.
But they, when they were introducing the Suicide Squad, the Arrow, TV universe.
Yeah.
You see a blonde. It was like, I think she was blonde with like pigtails in an Argus cell.
Yeah.
And you totally hear. I mean, the actress nailed the voice.
Yeah.
But you never saw her face.
Yeah.
You just kind of see like from behind, and then Amanda Waller like punches the door to tell her to get back. It was kind of. I think they wanted to do more with her, because there was even a dead shot in the show, but now with the cinematic universe happening, they kind of shelved the characters for TV, and maybe they come back later.
They're missing an opportunity there that Marvel's taking with Netflix. They can have all of that tie together and make it part of the universe, which they should have done from the beginning with Marvel.
Yeah, I agree. Like Flash just wrapped up its first season, and it was breaking some records there for a while. Its number of viewers were steady, either solid numbers or a few more each week. And then they already cast another Flash for the movie. That I guess he's going to make a brief appearance in Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. But it's not tie it in with the TV shows. Like, I haven't watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I saw like the very first episode, most of it, never finished it. And I know Matt doesn't like it. I guess it's because it's on ABC. It's just, you really can't, I guess, do what you want with that show on there. But I think Netflix is kind of like paving the way. I mean, network TV, oh God, they said Netflix by 2016 was going to have more viewers than the 4 major networks or something crazy like that.
They're doing a Brad Pitt movie.
Yeah.
A movie he's starring in.
Which is kind of which I like. What I like about network TV, if you want to make it a pros and cons. As much as I love like Arrow and the Flash, I mean, there was a 22 and 23 like episodes a season, which I kind of like. There's a lot of, you can kind of do almost like a villain of the week, but you got to have like your main baddie in there, but it's like kind of drag it along, and they make you wait a week.
So there it is, our first non-solo episode. We had about, 10 more minutes of footage that kind of got corrupted. There's bits and pieces that'll work. Probably save it for an outtake reel. The episode was unofficially brought to you by Stone, Arrogant Bastard Ale, and Urban Chestnut, Apotheosis. We were drinking them both the whole time. We also had to cut a couple times just to get onto the tornado siren, to deal with kids, which you might hear in the background. So, we'll be back in the next week or two with another episode. Hopefully Matt will be on with us too, and you'll get the full Nerdcast crew. As Toner would say, keep doing what you're doing.
On top of the world, on top of it all, trying to feel invincible. Yeah, dying on top of the world. I remember the nights, caught up and dreaming my goodbyes, watching the door for anything more than an ordinary life. I remember the days, new beginnings on an open page, something to prove, nothing to lose.
あなたはこの世の中は全て作り物だって言うけど、それを知っている人はほとんどいないわ。